and welcome back to the channel. My name is Chidima, and this video is specifically about how homeschooling helped me explore my passions. So I remember the time since I was really little, I used to love to draw. I used to draw all the time. Drawing was like my favorite thing to do. And I used to sketch a bunch in my journal. I have many journals of just drawings and drawings upon drawings. And I remember when I used to be in school, I used to doodle a lot during class, and I would have like a bunch of doodles on the side of my notebook. So I've always been a drawer and I've always loved to doodle. But in school, I noticed that that was really discouraged to draw in my notebook because I should have been paying more attention to what was happening in class. But once I started homeschooling, I noticed that I really had a lot of time to create and draw and finally just let loose. During homeschooling, we used to have certain time slots that I could just draw over and over as much as I want, just create tons of drawings, and it was super fun. And after a while, I finally decided that it came up to my mind as a random idea that I wanted to be an animator. And that was like something that was like, imagine if I could be an animator. Imagine if I could draw these animations and see them play out. Like, that would be so cool. So when I was younger, so my parents, they got this desktop computer that allowed me to create animations. And I really got to explore the style of animation and really try it out. And one of the things that I first got into when I was animating was 3D animation. So 3D animation was a struggle to learn, to be honest. It was pretty hard and it required a lot of dedication to like learning. But after a while, I would say after like 3 weeks of working on this specific project, I finally got to the end of the project. And it was this like donut that kind of moved around, and it was a realistic donut, chair, and a coffee. So at the time, I was like so proud of myself. I was like, congratulations me. Like, I finally completed it after it took a long time, because I started from like 0 to here. I knew nothing about it. And then by the end of it, I knew a good amount of what it takes to animate. So after that, I was like, you know, like, I don't really want to be an animator anymore because it just took so long, the time, the effort, everything. And it wasn't something that like I was genuinely passionate about. It was just something I wanted to try. So like eventually, after realizing that I would spend a bunch of time tweaking tiny little things and just constantly adjusting, I just realized animating was probably not for me. But I was super glad I got the chance to figure that out. So soon after that, I started to tinker with my dad's DSLR camera. And after a while, like it was one of those things that I couldn't really use the camera. I wasn't really allowed to use the camera because it was my parents and they didn't want me to break it. So after a while though, after I got a little bit more mature, I was finally allowed to use the camera. So I started taking pictures like of outside, different places. And after a while, I was like, like, why don't I become like a photographer? Why don't I take pictures of people? And so that was a whole nother passion that I started to learn about photography, started to learn about the settings on the camera. I started to take pictures. I even took professional pictures of my mom, and she used it on her website a couple of times. And that was really cool. Like, I definitely enjoyed photography. And after a while, I started even teaching my sister. I made it my own class at the time, and I started teaching my sister what I was learning around photography. So it was super fun. I took a bunch of pictures and everything, but then after a while, I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me, because although I did enjoy it, I don't know if that's something I would wake up and just really, really want to do. So after a while, I kind of realized that photography really isn't the thing that I like to do. So later on in our homeschool journey, my brother had this crazy idea to start a board game, like an actual board game. And I remember he started it from like cardboard, and he built this whole city like thing. And I thought it was super cool. So then I was like, hey, like, why don't I jump on board too? And he was like, sure. So my task for the board game was to create the designs for all the characters. So we started with 10 characters, then we went to 20, 30, 40, 50, and then by the end of the whole project, like, I don't even know how I did this, but we got to like 100 characters, like 106, and I had to draw the design for all of them. So that was really fun. That was something I genuinely enjoyed because I used to draw all the time. That was something I really loved to do. But I feel like working with him with that was like, there were some challenges. There were some times he didn't like the design. There were times that I didn't want to add what he wanted. So it required a lot of collaboration, but I'm so glad we got to the end of it because we have like 106 characters that we were gonna use in our board game. And eventually the passion for those characters and the passion for creating those characters turned into something bigger. But that's something we're gonna talk about in a different video, how our game turned into a book series. So looking back, I realized that not every single passion stuck, but that was like the whole point of everything. Like the discovery, the journey was really incredible. And I picked up like a ton of skills on the way. Like the camera I'm recording on right now is the camera that I used to study photography on. Like I still know how to create an animation. I still have those skills in my memory bank. So I feel like this whole discovery through passions that I went through, I would not have gone through it any other way. And I'm so happy that homeschooling really gave me the space and the bandwidth to really discover what I like to do, because there was a ton of things that I actually thought I would have really liked, but it turns out like I didn't really like it anymore, and that was okay. So I feel like homeschooling really just gave me that space to really discover myself and figure out what I like to do. And through every passion I discovered, whether it be animating, photography, drawing, and just overall creation, I learned that everything takes a level of dedication if you really, really want it to come true. Those passions were things that I really liked and I tried, but it wasn't something I was deeply passionate or like dead set on trying to make true or come true. So most importantly, I figured out that if I really, really set my mind to something, I can totally make it come true. And with the business we're building now, I know deep down that it is possible because homeschooling taught me that it's possible. So if you're homeschooling or you're thinking about it, I suggest you really give yourself space to explore. Your homeschooling doesn't have to be completely set on what someone else wants you to learn. You really never know what passions might turn into something bigger. So never discount anything you've learned. So don't be shy, leave a comment down below, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and we will see you in the next video.